Hello, I'm Chef Marcus Burek, and this is another episode of On the Table. We're on location on Merritt's Creek. It's a beautiful creek right behind me. This leads right into the Cape Fear, northeastern Cape Fear River. I thought this would be a great location. It's fall. You can see the leaves in the creek right now behind me. They're falling. The leaves are absolutely beautiful. And I thought this episode would be perfect to do a catfish, which run in the Cape Fear River. You could easily catch those. Good bait for those is a little bit of, you can get chicken liver at the store. They love chicken liver. Actually let it sit out for a day, throw it in there, you're guaranteed probably some catfish. But today we're going to do a pecan crusted catfish with a Grand Marnier butter and honey sauce. I'm going to put that on top of some mashed sweet potatoes and then a citrus coleslaw with that. So I thought it's a nice southern dish, a great dish for today, being out here on the river. So let's get this started. We're going to go ahead and heat up our pans. And what I'm going to do is take this catfish. We have a beautiful catfish fillet here. And I am going to bread this with a little bit of pecan crust. Now I'm not going to do a 3 breading procedure, which is milk, egg yolks, and breading. I'm just going to simply put breading, which all I did here is I took some pecans, I toasted them in the oven for a little bit, then I mixed them with a little bit of panko breadcrumbs in a Cuisinart, and then I put a little bit of brown sugar in there, and that's all I'm going to do is just put them right here on the top. And I'm just going to take the breadcrumbs and just smash them in there. And I'm just going to do one side. Because like I said, I want the fish to really, I want a lot of the flavors to come out of this. So I don't want to mask the flavors by covering in so much pecans that you're not going to be able to tell what kind of fish it is. So we're going to put in our pan a little bit of butter. And I'm going to put in just a little bit of olive oil just to bring down the smoking point. Okay, I want to toss that around, get that butter nice and melted. As you can see, there's kind of a good bit of butter in there. I want that. But I also want to make sure that my pan is good and hot. As you remember in the episode that we did about pan frying, we want to make sure that that pan is hot so it doesn't bite onto this and then our fish sticks. So that's pretty hot. Our butter's brown just a little bit, so you're going to get some of that flavor. And I want to just take it, shake it once, and then I'm just going to leave it alone. You don't have to mess with it. You don't want to mess with it. You do want to make sure that you regulate your heat just a little bit because you don't want this to get dark. You got to remember there's brown sugar in there and that's going to burn pretty quickly. So you want to make sure that you regulate your heat. And a good way of just checking that is just picking up your fish a little bit, looking at the crust and seeing that that's brown. So we already have it brown there. I want to turn down this heat just a little bit. And then I'm going to flip it over. And if some of your crust comes off, just smush it on the top there. Okay. Now I'm just going to put just a little bit of salt on that. A little fresh cracked pepper, which you can do that beforehand if you like and put that on the fish, or after, it doesn't matter. Just going to shake it so I know it's not sticking. If it is sticking, remember, don't try to get in there with a spatula, just let it sit on that heat and it will start coming off. Okay, so I'm going to let that cook there on that side. On this side, we're going to go ahead and do our honey butter and Grand Marnier sauce. So I'm going to take a little bit of butter. This is not the healthiest of dishes, of course, but it's okay because it's really, really good. Okay. Okay. Clean off that cutting board. Okay, so we're just going to melt the butter. And then what I want to do is add my Grand Marnier. I'm adding about a teaspoon. Remember, with alcohol, always take it off the heat because if this catches fire, this alcohol is going to go, the fire will go up into this bottle and you have a very good likelihood of this bottle exploding in your hand. So be careful with that. Okay. I'm adding just a tablespoon because this Grand Marnier is very strong. We probably won't get much flame on that just because The Grand Marnier is already mixed with the butter. Okay, do that. Just take a little bit of honey, mix it there. Just a pinch of salt, a little bit of butter. That is about as simple as a sauce as you can get. Your sauce is ready to go right there. Okay. Now I'm going to move this aside. I'm going to put on my sweet potatoes. Bring those back to heat. I'm going to check my fish again. We may have to flip it, just so we make sure both sides are nice and cooked. There we go. And as you can see, some of this breading did get a little bit dark, so what you can do, if that happens, just take that off and discard it. And that is okay, because we did just want the one side to be crusted and not the other. Okay, while that is being done, I'm going to make the coleslaw. What I have here is just some shaved cabbage and shaved carrots. I like to put in just a little bit of finely shaved onions. Not a lot, because you don't want to overpower this. Okay, this fish is about done, so I'm just going to take it, shut off the heat. There we go. That looks absolutely beautiful. Perfect. Good color. Okay, with the coleslaw, very simple. I'm going to take a little bit of mayonnaise that I put a little bit of water in, just to loosen it up a little bit. You don't want to put a lot. Now, it is completely up to you. Again, you know that when you're making something, if you love mayonnaise and you love, something very creamy, you might like that. I was kind of raised on the German coleslaw. My mom's German, so I was raised on usually just vinegar, not any mayonnaise at all. So I'm just going to put a little bit of the mayonnaise in. Freshly squeezed orange juice. If you'd like, you could put in a little bit of zest if you want. Now we could also, what I have here, and it's just this time of year, I have some pineapple sage. And this is pineapple sage right over here, as you can see on the table. And it has these beautiful red blooms. They're almost like honeysuckle. They have a great flavor. So I put a little bit of that and a little bit of rosemary. I'm just going to put a little bit of that because you don't want to overpower. I'm just going to put a little bit of Dijon mustard, not much at all. A little bit of salt. A little bit of pepper. And then what I did, there's a beautiful place called the Taste of Olive, has hundreds of different olive oils and balsamic vinegars, and different kinds of vinegars. It is a wonderful place to go. You should really check it out. But I got a little bit of a lemon balsamic vinegar, so I'm just going to put a lemon balsamic in there. A little bit different. A lot of people, and most of the recipe calls for an apple cider vinegar, so basically whatever you want to do with that. And then I'm just going to toss that around. I'm going to give it a taste here. Adjust your flavors just a little bit. Okay, just need a little bit more salt, but it's really good. I would probably make your coleslaw up at least 20 minutes in advance. We'll put that aside there. Okay, with our sweet potatoes, what I've done is I boiled the sweet potatoes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add a little bit of cream, add a little bit of honey to that, little salt, little pepper, and just a touch of butter. Okay. Okay, I'm going to mash that up. Okay. Wonderful. Okay, so that is how easy this dish is. What we're going to do now is plate it. Okay, I like a nice white plate, nice and clean. We're going to take a little bit of the sweet potatoes. I'm going to put those right down in the middle. I'm going to take my catfish, I'm just going to cut it right there in the pan. Beautiful. Looks really, really good. Now you can just put a small helping. I'm kind of hungry, so I'm going to put a double helping there. Okay. I'm going to take some of this coleslaw. Just going to want to kind of let that fall off the top of it. So then we're going to just drizzle this right over. A little garnish. And there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Table. Please join us next time and see where we're going to be on location then.